On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. They confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final to start off this new week. Still bright and early on a Monday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie, I am Ben. One more hour to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. The end of an NBA season, but the NBA summer always filled with drama. We've already seen one monumental deal. Kevin Durant now plays in Houston. The NBA draft is this week, Wednesday night, round number 1, Thursday night, round number 2. And we'll talk about the Thunder not just being that new NBA champ and title winner, but how many more Larry O'Brien trophies are we going to see in the next few seasons in Oklahoma City? And then from the brilliant baseball mind of one Donnie Rightside, a full breakdown of this Monday slate to start off a new week around MLB as well. The proper perspective with Tom Vecchio to end out these 3 hours as well. Plenty more DRS still to get to up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
Absolutely. Get the people started in the right direction on this Monday. As we said, 2 chapters closed, one in the NHL, one in the NBA. We move forward now, Major League Baseball taking center stage before we handed off the football season in the NFL and college football. But a lot of doings here on Wednesday night to see where these draft picks will be. We know Cooper Flagg's going to be number 1, but that draft really gets started after the second pick, which is expected to be Harper to San Antonio. And then the fun begins on maybe a hostage situation, which, Ace Bailey, you are a Philadelphia 76er. Oh, really? Am I here? You might have some intrigue right away on Wednesday. Is he at the actual draft himself? Does he put the hat on that says Sixers? Does he refuse it? Remember how upset Eli Manning was that he got drafted by San Diego back in the day? Yeah, we might get one of those situations, which should be some fun to watch.
Yeah, DRS, there should be some more movement this week and maybe even on draft night as we might expect. Right now, when you look at the odds, there is a player and a favorite to be selected first, second, third, so on and so forth, all the way through the top 10. We only have 3 minus money favorites. Hefty minus money favorites, of course, at the top. Cooper Flagg minus 100,000 to be that first overall pick made by the Mavs. Only a matter of time. The Cooper coronation on Wednesday in BK. Dylan Harper minus 9,000 to go second overall. The San Antonio Spurs. The Sixers right now still a minus 280 favorite to have that number 3 overall selection be VJ Edgecombe, the Bahamian freshman out of Baylor. but some reports that maybe Edgecombe wasn't working out all that well in the city of brotherly love. And then everybody after that, DRS, plus money. Could be a lot of movement come Wednesday night in round number 1. And you know who has 2 picks in the top 24 selections come Wednesday night? The NBA champs, a historic NBA champion in the Oklahoma City Thunder, drafting 15 and 24. It is part of the reason, DRS, that despite having the youngest team in the NBA, despite being the second youngest ever NBA champion in the history of the association, we think OKC is not just going to win 1, but insert LeBron James, meme 2, 3, you know how the story goes. How many NBA titles will the Thunder win with this young core? That was the question to all of you in Fade the Public. All right, DRS, that was the question at SportsGrid on Twitter. How many more championships will the OKC Thunder win with this core? Of course, that is defined by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 26 years old, in the NBA Finals and regular season MVP and the scoring title leader in the association. Jalen Williams, only 24. Chet Holmgren, only 23. You see the ages on your screen. How many more titles? 0, 1, 2, or 3 plus. Most of the public really falling in the 1 and 2 range, and still about 28% on 0. You cannot take winning an NBA championship for granted, even if you are the short favorite and the expected frontrunner to get that done. But most of the public, I would say, thinks that at least one more Larry O'Brien trophy is making its way to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. DRS, which way did you vote in this Fade the Public poll?
Yeah, that's why I went. I think it's going to be one more championship. That look, it's hard to win championship, as we know.
Right.
But 0 with a team that just won it, and basically everybody's coming back, that doesn't make all that much sense to me. Now, as I said, injuries are going to happen. Other teams get better. It's hard to go back. Look at the Celtics. Hey, they're in the midst of a dynasty here. They're going to win multiple championships. They're about to break up their team because they're running into some cap casualties as well as getting superstar players injured. That can happen in the future. But for me, I thought 1 was appropriate. This team should get multiple opportunities to make deep playoff runs, and have already won a championship, they should be able to get another. 2, then you're starting to talk about dynasty. 3 plus, which would be insanity, getting about 5% of the votes. I understand it, where people get excited. Hey, just want 1, and maybe it's OKC fans voting for that. But for me, the expectations would be for at least 1 more, and I went with 1 with about 36% of the people. So technically, I am not fading the public. I'm riding with the public here.
I would be shocked, surprised, stunned if Oklahoma City with this core in the next 3 to 4, 5 years did not win at least 1 more NBA championship. And for that reason, DRS, I actually voted for 2. I would think I'm like the public as well, somewhere in that 1 to 2 range. Again, 0 seems very unlikely despite 28% of this vote. 3 plus in the next 5, 6, 7 years. We'll see how long this core remains intact for a variety of reasons. Financially, first and foremost. Health, of course, right behind that. I would also be surprised to see 3 or more. 1 to 2 makes a lot of sense to me. I went with 2. And here's why. Again, the young core that already has the NBA MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at just 26 years old. The big 3 performing in the biggest stage. J-Dub, after a slow start, scored 20 points last night. Of course, had 40 in game number 5. Chet Holmgren, key when it mattered most, 18 and 8 last night with 5 blocks. And some of the offseason acquisitions a little bit under the radar. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's only 27. Started game number 7 last night. Alex Caruso is the veteran. He's 31, but focused more, of course, on the defensive side of the floor. Lou Dort, a supreme 3-and-D guy. He is 26. And how about some of the guys also on the bench? Cason Wallace, who started games in the NBA Finals, he's 23. He had double digits off the bench last night. There are so many guys for this Thunder side, DRS, that we expect to be here for a very, very long time. And then you add in the fact that Sam Presti, the general manager who is seen as some sort of wizard right now in the NBA, has 13 first-round picks over the next 7 years. They've got like 27 total picks in the next 5 or 6 NBA drafts. They have 2 on Wednesday night in the first round. Of course, both outside of the lottery, but just ever so slightly. 15th overall for the Thunder and 24th overall at the back end of that first round as well. Continued dividends from the Paul George deal that led to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being in Oklahoma City in the first place.
Yep, just keep on building. That's how you do it. And also understand this, sometimes you talk about, the dynasty in the midst of it. Boy, they're going to have a healthy Golden State young team they're going to have to defend against. Or let's just say we're going up against the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James is 28 years old. You're talking about question marks with so many other teams. Like Kevin Durant, again, going to Houston. That makes them better in the immediate. But who knows? Is Kevin Durant going to be healthy by the end of the season in his late 30s? You take a look again about LeBron James in his 40s at this point now. And then you say, okay, well, who else is there to rise and sort of challenge them? Well, we thought it might have been the Phoenix Suns coming into the season. Nope, not the case. You already saw them as the better team going up against Denver, who will be a formidable opponent. But you don't have teams lining up in their way. So the key point analysis is, in order to win a championship, you must get to the NBA Finals. And it's not going to say that it's going to be easy at any time, right? They're going to get some pushback, but they're the best team here. And if over the next 5 years they're the best team, you probably figure they're going to make the finals 2 to 3 times, which you should win at least 50% of those if you get there, since you already won one. So it does make sense that we might be on the verge of a constant playoff run here out of OKC.
DRS, we had the same sort of consideration and conversation for the Celtics a year ago. They just won championship number 18, getting back on top. They were the incredibly short favorites in the early odds. That's the same case for the Thunder, plus 220. But given how next year looks, both in the Western Conference, but namely out in the Eastern Conference and all the shifting landscape there, I think it's hard to fault that incredibly short price already. MLB breakdown next.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
After a full weekend around Major League Baseball on this very hot and humid Monday, I think all around the states, but certainly here in the Northeast, we've got a 9-game slate to start off a new week on a Monday in MLB. DRS, we start with a central focus tonight under the arch in St. Louis between two divisional foes in the National League Central. The Cubbies did not win the weekend at home against the Seattle Mariners, but still hold a 3.5-game lead in the division over the Milwaukee Brewers, who are the only team to pull off a sweep this weekend. 4.5 in front still of the Redbirds, who have not quite been as red hot as they were to start off this season. But today, under the arch, Donnie's favorite MLB pitcher, the Big Lib, Matthew Liberatore, gets the start for St. Louis. On the other side for the Cubs, it's Ben Brown, right? Ben Brown for Chicago?
Yes. Yep.
That's their starter? Yeah,
Benny
just
boy.
making sure of that. Nearly a pick'em price tonight, DRS, in the Lou. -110 for the Cardinals. Now the updated numbers on FanDuel. -106 on the other side. Total still stands at 9. How does this series in St. Louis start on a Monday evening?
Yeah, yesterday afternoon temperatures, they're soaring into the 90s. This game's estimated they're going to start at 7:45. And how about still 90 degrees at first pitch for this one? So you love to see that hitting environment. 8 to 9 mile an hour winds blowing out to left field. That's fantastic stuff. Take a look at these two pitchers here because it is interesting. If we have 17 pitchers on the card today with a minimum of 5 innings pitched over the last 30 days, xFIP-wise, Ben Brown's at 3.84, which isn't terrible. His ERA, though, 5.79. You take a look at Matthew Liberatore, 6.33 ERA, which, again, is very elevated. 4.23 xFIP number, which is lower. So, namely, these pitchers getting just a little bit unlucky so far on the season. The one issue with Ben Brown over the past 30 days, he can't get out left-handed batters to the tune of a 357 weighted on base percentage and a 188 ISO power number. Lefties in the lineup tonight that could do damage. Brendan Donovan, he's got a 322 weighted on base percentage going up against right-handed pitching over the past month. Alec Burleson, a 368 weighted on base percentage. And then Nolan Gorman might be the best hitter in the lineup right now based on his last 30-day statistics versus right-handed pitchers. He's a 262 ISO power number and a 430 weighted on base percentage. If we flip it over to the other side, and again, take a look at Liberatore. Difference here is he's been very good against left-handed batters because he is a left-handed pitcher, but also understand this. You take a look at the right side here, they've been pounding him here. A 242 ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 389 against. If you're just looking to say these two pitchers with high ERAs, and I'm just going to take that hitting environment, we probably should be getting a total in this one. We really should.
Yeah, 9 is that total. DRS, this is a rivalry, of course, within the National League Central. Neither fan base in St. Louis nor on the north side of Chicago really cares for the other team. First meeting this year between these two divisional foes and rivals, starting a 4-game set this week under the arch in the Lou. I said the Redbirds not quite nearly as red hot as they were to start off the year. They started June, DRS, just 3-9. They have won 6 of their last 8, nearly pulled off the sweep against the Reds this weekend. The Cubbies, pretty mediocre, 500 in fact in their last 10 games, 5-5. Again, a 9-game slate on this Monday, including a return to Citi Field for the New York Mets, who were swept by the Braves during the midweek this past week, Tuesday through Thursday. And despite being at home, and the Mets have not been playing great baseball. They snapped that 7-game slide against the Phillies on Saturday, but did drop the finale to lose the weekend in Philadelphia. The Mets are a home dog today against Spencer Schwellenbach and the Atlanta Braves. -136, that updated price in favor of the Braves on the road tonight in Queens. 8.5 is that total. At it once again, these two divisional foes. How does this game on Monday play out?
Could the Braves' dominance continue here over the New York Mets? Maybe so. The best pitcher on the card today is Spencer Schwellenbach. His last 5 starts over the past month accumulated 35 1/3 innings pitched. How about an ERA of 2.80? Very rare that you see a 2.80 and have an even less xFIP, which is 2.02. The last 136 batters that Spencer Schwellenbach has faced, a 162 ISO, which is about average, but that weighted on base percentage at 271 and a strikeout rate of close to 32% really helps out. Now, the one thing you have to like if you are the Mets tonight, well, you're playing in Citi Field. It is a pitcher's ballpark, but 85 degrees at first temperature and an 8-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to left center field. That's good for the hitters. The first 6 batters in the lineup over the past month against right-handed pitching for the Mets have all excelled. That's Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, Alonso, McNeil, and also Jared Young. High ISO power numbers. But here's the issue. On the other side, it's Paul Blackburn. These are the pitchers that we look at and say, like, you have nothing left in your minor league system to have Paul Blackburn with another start here. You look at his past couple weeks here, only 13 innings pitched, close to a 7 ERA. Now, the xFIP number is a little bit lower, but still dangerously high at 4.69. Now you look at Ozuna, Albies, Verdugo, Murphy, Harrison, Allen. Those guys really haven't shown up much at all against right-handed pitching over the past month, which is up to the first three guys, Acuna, Olsen, and Riley, to do the damage. But once again, looking at Blackburn, he's only had 60 batters that he's faced in Major League Baseball this season. What about a K percentage of only 13%? An ISO against, if we include lefty and righty batters, at 200, and a weighted on base percentage of 383. If you just focus on the right-handed batters, which presumably will be the majority of the lineup tonight for the Atlanta Braves, a 292 ISO against and a 415 weighted on base percentage. It's one thing that I look at and say the Mets lineup is better 1 through 9, but I'm not backing Paul Blackburn in this game. You got to be kidding me. I think the Braves win it again.
DRS, the Mets are hoping to stop this regression. A once proud organization in the month of June, trying to find their way back. They now trail Philadelphia, losing the weekend by a full game in the National League East. Our final game of 9 tonight on this Monday out in San Diego in Southern California. The Padres start a series against the Washington Nationals. Now, the Padres got off to a great start this year, but they have cooled off ever so slightly. Still well above 500, but they've dropped 7 of their last 11. A home favorite tonight, minus 172. Now that updated number. What do the Padres do inside Petco against the Nationals?
Look, you got to like the Nationals, like playing games where they're scoring runs in high-scoring environments. You even got one yesterday. They even plated a lot of runs on Saturday. But if you look at Mitchell Parker on the mound, he's a left-handed pitcher. Average at best. If you could just be kind here, you take a look at a 5 ERA over the past 30 days. But he does have a slightly lower xFIP of 3.91. But here's where it'll get you in trouble. You look at the lineup tonight. Louis Arise, left-handed batter. Jackson Merrill, left-handed batter. Sheets, left-handed batter. And Cronin, left-handed batter. Why does that help out? Well, that's where Mitchell Parker is good. Against right-handed batters, he's been devastatingly bad over the past 30 days. So if you just line up these right-handed bats, which aren't that good for the Padres, we're sort of bending the rules on what we like to look and bet. It seems like they're going to get at least in the mix for a team total. And Kolek on the other side, a super high xFIP number with a lineup that's hitting the baseball, even though it is a pitcher's ballpark in San Diego. This game should go over out west. It really should.
6 more games to preview around the Bigs. We'll do all of that next.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Plenty of takeaways from Yankees-Dodgers where LA sent the message on Saturday, and the only way the Yankees could salvage it was somehow beating Yamamoto, and they did.
You're staring a sweep in the face. And after losing the World Series, knowing what the opponent is, you know what the narrative would have been on Sunday Night Monday. Oh, the Yankees get swept by the Dodgers.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. They confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We've got 9 games on this Monday around Major League Baseball. We previewed 3 in our first segment, breaking down from the brilliant baseball mind of one Donnie Rightside. We've got 3 in this segment and 3 to come in our next segment on the other side of the break. That would be a preview of all 9 games. Let's head out to Cincinnati, DRS, where today the Yankees head to the Great American Ballpark to take on the Reds. And the Pinstripes, of course, a road favorite. But maybe you're looking at the pitching matchup and you're like, who's Winans for the Yankees? Alan Winans to start today for the Yanks. His first start in a Yankees uniform. This year 7-0 with a .90 ERA and AAA this season. Did start 8 games over the previous 2 years, but in that Braves organization with Atlanta. Alan Winans and his Yanks, a road favorite today in Cincinnati. What do you like?
Yeah, it's interesting too, right? Because you got that AAA pitcher coming up who's had a lot of success here. Maybe that carries over. 88-degree temperatures here in a small ballpark in Cincinnati, which you love to see. Wind's only blowing at 3 miles per hour, slightly out to left field, so should be great hitting conditions for this one. Nick Lodolo, if we take a look at his statistics here, and we have him coming in 9th out of 17 pitchers on the card today with xFIP of a 4.04. We're not terrible at that point. ERA is about a 4.78. That's through 26 and a third innings pitched here. Lodolo is a left-handed pitcher, and over the last 30 days, though, has struggled a little bit with right-handed batters. 211 ISO power number, weighted on base percentage of 350, but a decent K rate of around 25%. If you look at the lineup today for the Yankees and how it presents itself over the past month against left-handed starters, Paul Goldschmidt, very good. Bellinger, average. Judge, very good. Chisholm with a high weighted on base percentage. Volpe, decent weighted on base percentage. Dominguez, and also Austin Wells and DJ LeMahieu. So really, if you're looking at this lineup, the only guy, and it's only 4 at bats, that's the right-handed batter, the DH in Carlos Stanton here at only 4 at bats. He struggled. Everybody else, though, 8+ batters with weighted on base percentage going up against Lodolo. It's hard, though. Like, the favorite on the road is the Yankees. I don't know what I'm getting out of that pitcher. That's the only thing that sort of, like, holds me back a little bit. But the Yankees should be able to put enough good bats together here to score 4 to 5 runs in this game.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll see how they do in Cincinnati against Lodolo. The Reds, for me, my Cincinnati Reds, 40-38, nearly at the halfway mark of their MLB season, and halfway to cashing a ticket for me. I need 80 wins out of the Reds. They are halfway there, basically on track with about, they've got 78 minus 162 minus 78. It would be 84 more games to go for Cincinnati, who did snap a 3-game losing skid, avoiding a sweep against St. Louis yesterday in their weekend set. They had won 9 of the previous 11 before that. The Mariners won the weekend at Wrigley. The only team swept over the weekend, that would be the Minnesota Twins, who have not been looking good, DRS, as of late. They have dropped 9 of their last 10. The Twins back at home in the Twin Cities, hosting the Mariners. Can Big Dump keep it going? 4 home runs in 3 games in Chicago this weekend. Seattle, a road favorite, minus 122. Of course, Big Dumper is Cal Raleigh. 8.5 the total today in Minneapolis. What's the play?
Sure, probably Big Dumper to go yard again. I mean, why not? 79-degree temperatures tonight in Minnesota with the wind blowing out to right field. That means Cal Raleigh, who is a switch hitter, will be batting from the left side, the wind helping him. And also, his last 69 at-bats against right-handed pitching. How about a 460 ISO and a weighted on-base percentage of 449? And if you're just going to blind here, Bailey Ober is the worst pitcher on the Major League Baseball card today. A 6.11 ERA. And how about this? A 5.62 xFIP number. You take a look at Bailey Ober's last 127 batters. Equal opportunity. Both sides of the plate smashing him to a 278 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 392. So low K rate, hard contact rate, good hitting conditions in a pitcher's ballpark. We should be able to get runs there. But let's go to the other side. Brian Wu was on the mound. You take a look at him. 31 2/3 innings pitched here, a 4 ERA and a 4 xFIP number. But you got a good-looking lineup here today for the Minnesota Twins with a lot of plus bats. You have 7 out of the 9 batters estimated here, plus weighted on base percentages against right-handed pitching. And if you just wanted to pick out one side of the plate, Wu struggles with lefties here. Lefties like Mitch Wallner. Take a look at Trevor Larnach in this equation. Brooks Lee's a switch hitter. He'll be from the left side. And also Cody Clemens sporting a 245 ISO power number for his last month going up against right-handed pitching. Hey, look at this, man. Maybe it isn't overnight tonight, just fading some of these pitchers in some good hitting environments.
8.5 that total. The Twins trying to turn things around. They're now 3 games sub 500, 37-40. Seattle trying to catch the Houston Astros, who have been great in the month of June, now leading the American League West by, let me get the check here, 5 games over the M's at this moment. DRS, I said we would preview 3 games in this segment. We came up a little bit short, but we've got a long segment on the other side for the final 4 games on this MLB Monday, including the Boston Red Sox, who go from Northern California to Anaheim next.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
So the Red Sox lost their last 2 games of their weekend series against the San Francisco Giants. A lot of eyeballs, attention, and notoriety on that set up in San Francisco. Why? Rafael Devers, who was dealt in the blockbuster deal 8 days ago, playing his former team almost immediately in the week after that head-scratching trade, depending on what side you support. One of the reasons, DRS, it was so crazy, Boston's starting to play better baseball. They lost the final 2 games against the Giants, but before those last 2 on Saturday and Sunday, the Red Sox had won 10 of their last 12. They're above 500 finally once again, trying to continue those winning ways. Now in Southern California in Anaheim against the Halos. Walker Buehler back in a city he knows well, not quite Anaheim, but of course started his career with the Dodgers in Los Angeles. So at least Southern California, and Buehler and Boston a slight road favorite tonight. Minus 118 is that number. Total is 9 out against the Angels. What's the play on this Monday between the Halos and the Sox?
Yeah, out there, decent temperatures, high 60s. That LA weather at night should be decent. Wind blowing out to center field as it usually does in Anaheim. But Walker Buehler pitching more like Ferris Bueller, Ben. How do you like that as of late? I mean, guy's been terrible. 23 innings pitched here. How about a 9 ERA and a 475 xFIP number? Left-handed batters, 215 ISO. Right-handed batters, 371 ISO against. Now, granted, you take a look at the Angels lineup today over the last 30 days. They haven't hit all that well against right-handed pitching. Mike Trout's got some pretty good numbers here. Joe Adell's got some good numbers here. But everybody else, really pedestrian. But sometimes it just takes a bad pitcher to come to town and sort of right that ship and say, okay, let's start to hit some of these home runs and get some of these deep fly balls. Because, again, Walker Buehler certainly hasn't been that good. And the pitcher that they were hoping for that they will be getting in Boston, Jekyll Hanowitz, he's an interesting one to me. You take a look at him. What guys I love to fade for a couple starts because his xFIP numbers were outrageously high. high. But look at this, a 6.17 ERA. But I have him ranked as the third best pitcher on the card today because his xFIP number has shrunk to 3.84 over the past 30 days. Now, here's the interesting part. You take a look at some of these ISO power numbers that are ultra high. Duran, Anthony, Toro, Abreu, Story, Mayer, and also Rafaela. All of those guys here saying, you know what? They've hit right-handed pitching extremely well over the past 30 days. So once again, I look at this and say, okay, Walker Buehler is bad against a bad lineup. Well, by theory, hopefully LA can scratch out a few runs. You take a look at the lineup for Boston. They should be able to hit Kohanowitz, but he has really improved those xFIP numbers, increasing his strikeouts here from the season to the last 30 days. But for me, again, why don't we lean on the over? Like, I don't see the power pitchers on the card. Like, Trollenbach's the best. Everybody else seems like it's up for grabs. And if you have good hitting environments with decent weather, why not go to the overs on those?
We've got some pretty good hitting environments on this Monday for sure, DRS, as we trend to the end of June. Maybe some offense around the bigs. The hottest team right now, the only team that pulled off a sweep over the weekend, that's the Milwaukee Brewers. They've won 4 consecutive games, and DRS were a few games below 500 on May 25th, 25 and 28. They have won 18 of their next 25. Can the Brew Crew continue this win streak, making it 5 in a row at home tonight in Milwaukee against the Pirates? The odds makers expect it. Minus 180 is that money line number now on FanDuel. The over-under at 8.5. So not as strong of a favorite as earlier this morning, but still a pretty strong favorite on that money line price. Will Milwaukee make it 5 straight wins tonight at home?
Ashcraft has pretty good numbers, but once again, keep in mind, it's only been 11 innings that he's pitched on this season so far. And here's the interesting part, too. Like Milwaukee, we know has the retractable dome. Maybe a little bit of rain chance in the forecast. I hope the roof is open. Why? It's 88 degrees tonight in Milwaukee. It's one of those days you'd like to capture, get that heat and humidity in the ballpark, certainly to try to heat up those bats. It's hard to judge, again, Ashcraft, because you look at his ISO against, only a 116 weighted on base percentage, 278. Not a huge strikeout guy, but not a huge track record that we can go off of here. You take a look at that Brewers lineup, some good batters in here against right-handed pitching over the past month. Frelick's got good numbers here. Churio, Christian Yelich. Take a look at Collins as well as Durbin. But on the other side for Pittsburgh, it's sometimes you get what you get. Like yesterday, my sneaky sell me something was the team total over 4.5 runs for Pittsburgh at a plus money price because the pitcher was bad, but the lineup really stinks. They really came to play yesterday, scoring north of 7 runs, easily hitting that play stream. But Chad Patrick, number 2 on the card today with xFIP of only a 3.64. So I do think it's a great spot here for the Milwaukee Brewers with a pitcher going up against a bad lineup, even though it had some success yesterday. I think they go back to being a bad lineup today, and I'd give that nod once again to the Brewers. But it's not as if I'm like saying anything generational here. They're a minus 196 favorite. They should win this.
So you're telling me, DRS, you guys do sell me something on pro baseball today as well?
Exactly. Sell me something. Give me like a thing that the people should be looking at that maybe you have to sell yourself on. It's really designed to lose, but I did win yesterday, so there you go. Sold me, baby.
I just meant more so the segment has been incorporated on other shows. It's like doing a Big Six on PBT. But, hey, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I go back to the well. Yeah, you never know, DRS. All right, tonight in Baltimore, 2 teams in the American League that everybody in the preseason expected to potentially contend around the AL for a pennant. The Rangers and the Orioles, who have both been, frankly, disappointing this year. Baltimore much more than Texas. Texas just a few games below 500, 38 and 40. Can the offense pick it up? The Orioles have flat out stunk. There are 11 games sub 500, 33 and 44. Baltimore a slight home favorite tonight in Camden Yards, minus 130. That price total 9.5. Will we see some offense in the Charm City as well?
Like the lineups don't really match up to the 9.5. But again, sometimes you throw that out. First pitch in Baltimore tonight, 95 degrees. Yeah, that game's going to start at 6 o'clock, 6:35. It's 95 degrees. That's how hot it is. And that's a hitter's ballpark here. So it's one where you say, okay, well, Patrick Corbin on the season, he's been okay. Let's just take a look at the last 30 days on Corbin. 28 2/3 innings pitched, a 4.40 ERA. Not a total disaster, and an xFIP number that's not a disaster at 4.03. There are some decent batters in the lineup here for Baltimore, but you take a look at lefties where Corbin does really well. Lefty is Holiday, lefty is Henderson, lefty is Kowser. So you got 3 of those hitters right off the bat that you're looking to have that power surge that might not be there. But right-handed batters get the best here of Patrick Corbin. But again, looking at the situation from the lineup, I don't like it that much. Look at Texas. It's just like, hey, every year, every day, it was like the last 2 years, like, hey, man, Corey Seager has got to be on your card. He stinks every day. Like, I haven't had Corey Seager on my card for basically the entire season. Yeah. Rogers not a great pitcher, but limited innings here. It's one of those that you take a look at, and Tom and I talked yesterday. The weather is so crazy. Just by default, you can't take an under. Like I know the price is pumped up, probably an extra run because of the temperature, but who's taking unders in 95 degrees? Like, just get a hold of one. It's leaving the yard.
The Rangers have been great at limiting the opposition this year. They have only allowed, as a team, 266 total runs. That is the fewest in all of Major League Baseball. If they've been that good, then they should be above 500, right? Wrong. They're 38-40. Yeah. Why? They've only scored 282 runs. So Donnie is correct. The offense should maybe not be there on paper tonight at Camden Yards, but it's going to be so hot in Baltimore that ball should fly off the bat. Let's go to the south side of Chicago. The White Sox and their opening day starter, Sean Smith. No, it wasn't Sean Smith. It was Sean Burke, I believe it was. Anyway, the White Sox at home hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. The D-backs a road favorite tonight against the White Sox. Over under is 9. I yelled "Go Sox" at the Vatican about a week ago. What happens tonight for the White Sox?
Now, the one thing that we didn't see is too many people running around with Nebraska hats in Rome. I thought that was definitely going to happen here with people yelling out that, hey, Nebraska looks good this year. They love the spring game at this point. But by the way, again, Ben, 90-degree temperatures in the Windy City tonight. More of a crosswind, though, from right foul pole to left foul pole. But you look at the Arizona batters. We had the B team out there yesterday, who I needed 3 runs from, had 2 runs by the end of the 4th, and finished with 2 runs in Colorado, 95-degree temperatures. I'm angry, but they should hit tonight going up against Shane Smith. And then the other side, Chicago. This might be the best-looking presentation of a lineup that we've seen for the Chicago White Sox all season long. What if I told you 7 of 9 batters or plus over the past 30 days against left-handed pitchers, which Rodriguez is a decent pitcher, has a decent number for the past 30 days at about a 2.81 ERA, but that xFIP close to 5 here. Maybe sneaky Chicago White Sox team total today. Looks good. They look good. Just telling you.
25-53 DRS. That is the record for Chicago through 78 games. I'm trying to do it very quickly here. They were 21-57 a year ago in a historically bad season. It's not great in Chicago. Tom Vecchio here next.
Sneak up on them.
Their team total is 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way. And now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back, because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. It is time now on a Monday for that prop perspective. That actually might come to end out this segment, or maybe in a second consecutive segment with us, because really we only have a Major League Baseball card to break down. It is the jack of all trades, though.
Beautiful.
That means Tom Vecchio joins us here on this Monday on the early line TV. Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid, as always, we appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Good to see you back. Coming off an NBA Finals game, obviously highlighted by the Halliburton injury, which is just absolutely devastating. I thought the first few minutes, I thought we were in line for literally an all-time game. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see that. But at the end of the day, Oklahoma City was an awesome team. They put together an awesome season, literally record-breaking point differential, SGA winning multiple awards. It was great to see them win. We have a lot to get to in terms of the NBA moving forward, some NBA draft, some MLB. Let's get going.
So, Vecchio, let's finish with that final takeaway then for game number 7. It's a theme that DRS and I have discussed often throughout this show. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the expected NBA favorites for a good majority, if not the entirety of this NBA campaign, do capitalize on that hope, ending as a champion for the first time in their 17 years in Oklahoma City. But, of course, the atmosphere of the game felt slightly off early, given that devastating and significant injury to Tyrese Halliburton. So the final game of the 2024-25 NBA season, the Thunder win by 12 and are now crowned an NBA champion. What will be one of your final takeaways from what we saw last night inside the Paycom Center?
I think it really comes down to, we saw really good depth from both teams. And, obviously, as the Halliburton injury is going to be a devastating loss for them next season, we should not be writing off the Pacers. Great coaching from Rick Carlisle. Great depth when we have, really a combo of guards when we have Nesmith, Nembhard, and Ben Mathurin coming off the bench. It's like, okay, they may not be the championship caliber team next year, but they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be in the mix. And the experience that they gain, they will give teams a fit in the playoffs. And with the Tatum injury, we know how open the East is overall. So do not count out the Pacers for next year. And yeah, the Thunder are great, but what's their next step? They got to keep together as much of the team as possible, refine things, and then they're going to be challenged in the West. We know teams like to gun for that, the king of the hill, and that's what they're going to be doing.
It's funny when you take a look at it, too, because you're right. The East is going to be wide open, not because, there's a lot of good basketball teams. Yeah. There's a lot of question marks on which teams are going to come back here and which teams are going to be healthy and who's going to be playing for it. Because you take a look at just the Boston Celtics, Tatum goes down with the injury, but multiple guys on the trade block. We seen the end of that Celtics dynasty before it even began, which brings me up to my next question here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. We're now seeing the Oklahoma City / Los Angeles Dodgers now. They just won a championship. Post them at plus 220, and the next competitor is an 8-1, 9-1 here at that point. Do we agree, Tom, that the Thunder, fresh off that victory, healthy, ready into next season, should be priced, and is this price appropriate for you?
I think the answer is yes all around. If you told me they opened at 3.5-1 or 4-1, I still think that's a reasonable number. I think it's this low just because the books don't want to have a risk. They don't want to be carrying this liability that far into the season. The Cavs, you can't convince me on that. The Knicks, you can't convince me on that. You missed the boat on the Rockets since they got Durant. That number's obviously moved. The two teams I would have interest in at this point, if we have these odds, it's got to come down to the Timberwolves. And I really think the Lakers are interesting because at a certain point, LeBron's going to be like, listen, I only got a year, 2 more years left. You got to go and make a move, right? You got to go and make a move that we can chat. Because think of it. If they were able to get past the Timberwolves, granted, Steph Curry got hurt with those dominoes played out the exact same way, but man, they could have gotten past the second round. They would have a conference finals appearance versus the Thunder. Man, they can challenge them next year. So if the Lakers were to go out and make another move, I could talk myself into a 14-1 number, but I do like the Timberwolves at that same price.
Yeah, I think it's a great look, Vecchio. 14-1 on the LA Lakers, where you still have a lot to figure out in this roster. Of course, that was the big drawback. But on paper, when you say the names LeBron and Luka playing basketball together for a full year following a full offseason, that is always going to be a very enticing thing. Need to address the front court desperately, of course, in Los Angeles. Maybe you've been asking, where are the Indiana Pacers? They're not on that list. Of course, we don't expect to see Tyrese Halliburton probably at all in 2025-26. Unfortunately and sadly, Indiana is 45-1, 15th best price. So that's exactly halfway through 30 NBA clubs. 6th best number out of teams hailing from the Eastern Conference. Tom Vecchio will be with us as a part of our NBA draft coverage starting on Wednesday night for round number 1. And Vecchio, I want to ask you about some storylines that you will be monitoring here for the 2025 NBA draft. Of course, the Cooper Flagg coronation. He's a minus 100,000 favorite to go first overall to the Dallas Mavericks. Dylan Harper at minus 9,000. Hefty favorite to go second overall to the San Antonio Spurs. His Rutgers teammate, the Ace Bailey slide. Of course, a big storyline early here in this week. Vecchio, what are some of the themes that you'll be paying attention to as we get ready for the NBA draft this week?
Yeah, obviously the Ace Bailey story, lack of workouts, whole, pre-draft process has been rather interesting. There's been some rumors that, I discussed with Kevin and Coach on BATR on Saturday. It's like, there's been some rumors that, listen, the 76ers want to move off of that Paul George contract, and Brooklyn has a lot of cap space. And there's been some talks that Brooklyn would take Ace Bailey with the 8th pick. Now, if they were to move up, what happens with that? The combo of Knipple, Edgecombe, and I'm going to say Trey Johnson, like that trio is like, where are they going to go? Because we know certain teams have needs. We know that the 76ers could use a shooter. They don't need someone like Trey Johnson. They don't need a guard. So that combination of how they sort out, I think that's going to be the most interesting, because we could see a player that's projected to go 3, but if there's a trade, all of a sudden, boy, they drop in a 6 all of a sudden. That's going to be interesting to see how things shake out on Wednesday.
Yeah, it really is interesting. Again, when you look at those odds, we have a betting market available for a player to go first all the way through 10th overall, early in the top 10 and in the draft lottery. Only 3 names on that board. Only 3 of those slots have a minus money favorite. Some movement in favor of Con Knipple, by the way, at 4th overall. That is where the Charlotte Hornets are set to be selecting. Vecchio, we'll stay here on the early line, of course, as we'll look around the Major League Baseball slate. 9 games on this Monday. Your co-host of Pro Baseball Today, Donnie Rightside, has to depart now to go on the money line. DRS, Kevin Walsh with you today on money line?
We never know. It's always an experiment. It's always a lot of fun. But your boy, I am always ready to go solo or not solo. That's it. I'm always there for the guys.
Solo mission. The wheels of steel. Donnie Rightside powers through. DRS will talk tomorrow. Tom Vecchio stays with us next.
Here we go at Oakmont. Let's start with the course. What do we know about this course? How long is the rough, and does course history come into effect for you this week?
The U.S. Open has always been billed as the most difficult test of golf there is on the planet. And I tell you what, it's often labeled as the most difficult golf course in the world is Oakmont.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We don't want you playing here. Can you move positions? Do something else. He starts the season like 0 for 150, it felt like, and finally finds himself in a groove at the plate, hitting 272. 15 home runs on the season? Now he's shipped to San Francisco.
What is management going to do? Nobody who's paying you $313.5 million is going to hear anything from you. They'll figure out a way to get rid of you, and that's exactly what they did.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll fall off. He'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to back 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
A 9-game Major League Baseball slate on this Monday. My co-host on the early line is one of the two co-hosts, of course, of Pro Baseball Today. That's Donnie Rightside. Joined by the other for this final segment to look around all 9 games on the Major League Baseball diamond. That would be TV Tom Vecchio. So, Vecchio, let's spin around the diamond. NBA season came to a close last night. No WNBA games on this Monday. We are completely done with the collegiate athletic slate in the 2024-25 academic year as it came to a close at the College World Series in Omaha on a Sunday afternoon. So what does that mean? Baseball, baby. 9 games on this Monday. Vecchio, very warm outside, basically across the entire country here to end out June. That could lead to some good hitting environments. That could lead to some offense. Might it lead to some overs? If you were to pick a game where you think we see some runs, what do you highlight first and foremost?
Yeah, it is boiling hot. Donnie and I talked about this extensively yesterday. Basically, every game yesterday was extremely hot, and that's what we're going to see for the next few days. Let's start off with the Texas Rangers visiting Baltimore Orioles. Like, we are seeing the temperature push towards 100. Now, there's not going to be a ton of wind, but when we see warm hitting weather like this, it just screams over. So I like over 9.5 for this game. It is juiced a little bit at -120. We'll certainly be starting there. The combination of Trevor Rogers and Patrick Corbin, like, these are two veteran pitchers, and they're both simply terrible. So when we see fly ball rates, low strikeout rates from pitchers, it's like we are working with a recipe for disaster if you're talking about it from the pitching perspective, but this is like the juice that we want when it comes to the hitting and prop perspective. So I do like the over. I also want to turn to Gunnar Henderson from the Orioles for a home run. He's sitting at +400. I understand this is a lefty-lefty matchup to start with Corbin versus Gunnar Henderson, but Corbin still allows 1.4 home runs per 9 to lefties. The fly ball rate's up at 35%. And I'm also not expecting Corbin to stay in there for a super long time. So eventually we will see Gunnar Henderson facing some righties. Also, I'm making a play at the number. If you're going to hang a 4-1 number on a player like Gunnar Henderson in this type of hitting environment, I'll take it.
Yeah, I love it, Vecchio. And listen, Tom has done many things now, of course, working for SportsGrid as well. But originally, he was the home run prop king first and foremost. So when he finds those good numbers on a Monday, that 4-1 price on Gunnar makes a lot of sense. And the Rangers need to – what? Go ahead.
I just want to say, yesterday, Donnie and I, we had 6 home run picks. We hit 3 of them. He hit one, Mickey Moniak, it was 425 or 475. Yeah. Cal Raleigh was like +136. I hit Nolan Shanaway at +800. So we got the juice right now.
Yeah, you certainly do, Vecchio. And one of my favorite Donnie Rightside caps is what I'll discuss in just a moment. The Rangers, by the way, most unders this year, highest under percentage in the bigs. The only team at more than 60, at more than 66% of their games. That's been the story for Texas. They have only allowed 266 runs as a team. The fewest in the bigs. They just can't really hit. Got to start taking advantage of those hitting environments. That was going to be my next question, Vecchio. What about Big Dumper today? Cal Raleigh, MLB best, 31 home runs, 4 over the weekend in Chicago. And my favorite Donnie Rightside cap, how is this guy not going to do this? Seeing Cal Raleigh at a +185 price yesterday, he did, in fact, go yard. Today, the price for Cal Raleigh, +172. Is that too short of a number to bet on MLB's home run leader at the moment?
I don't bet that. I understand that there will always be people that bet Cal Raleigh or Judge yesterday. I believe it was +167, which I think is an insane number, where there are times we are getting 3+ total bases or 2 RBIs for Judge, Cal Raleigh-esque player at a +150 price, +175. So home runs are crazy to bet at that low of a number. I wouldn't do that. I understand there are people that would. I would simply say, why not just ladder him up on the HRR market and go him for 4+, 5+ HRR, which you can do on some books. We get a much better number rather than just a solo home run, whatever it might be. Cal Raleigh today is going up against Bailey Ober. I don't think he's a very good pitcher. I think he's due for some serious regression. Yeah. I don't like his underlying metrics. We had nice hitting weather out in Minnesota, some wind blowing out. It is a good spot for Cal Raleigh.
Basically 3 months, Vecchio, into this MLB season. Quickly here, let's update those World Series prices. The Dodgers still a short favorite, second best record now around the bigs, only behind the Tigers, who have the third best price. The Yankees sandwiched in between at 6-1. If you were right here, right now, near the end of June, to bet a team to win a World Series, where's the value on the board?
I like the Cubs because if the Cubs were to get there, we're lopping off 3 options ahead of them: the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Mets. So if the Cubs go out and make a move, they're getting Imanaga back, I believe, this week or next week. Get another pitcher out there. That is some really nice value at 13-1.
The offense is there for the Cubbies, there is no doubt, but losing Justin Steele, Shota Imanaga on his way back. They need more arms in that starting staff in Wrigley. Tom Vecchio, as always, wonderful stuff. I'll see you on Wednesday night, my friend, for the NBA Draft Show. And the early line returns tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, here on SportsGrid.